All right, all right, all right. We should be live. Buff Nation, what's going on, everybody? We're here for our weekly segment of the Buff Blitz. I mean, this is a great week coming off a fantastic victory, Russ, against UCF. Thanks again, man, for doing this every Wednesday. How are you doing tonight, man?
I'm doing great. It's been a great week. It was a great weekend. The victory against UCF. My high school soccer team I coached, we beat the defending state champions Saturday night
Let's
for the
go.
first time in school history. So I was living up. Saturday was one of the best days ever. Getting that victory against Florida. We will obviously chat about that more. So yeah, it's been a good week. Let's enjoy this bye week. Let's enjoy, being victors and not having to wait a week to get redemption. We get to just enjoy this victory.
Yeah. It's fantastic, man, to go into the bye like this
Oh,
compared to Stanford last year.
oh
And
God.
yeah, like my Saturday was pretty awesome too, man. Went and visited my mom for her birthday, and so we went to a nice
Awesome.
steakhouse
Ooh.
afterwards. So, I mean, what
Oof.
better way to celebrate a 27-point victory when you come in as 14-point dogs than going out to a nice steakhouse and
That's right.
yes, like having a great time. So, man, I guess we can start with UCF. Of course, we have recruiting news to talk about. We have probably, take a look at the schedule here, moving on here in a little bit. But I did lead on my title, Russ, for the video. And y'all be
Mhm.
sure, smash that like, get in the chat, all of that. Uh, does this feel a little bit like the rise, the 2016 season where we come out strong, got a disappointing loss to Michigan, but then that's kind of the rallying point of this
Yeah.
team, and we go on a huge conference rampage, man. Win the Pac-12 South, find ourselves in the championship game there. Are we on the cusp of a special season? What'd you think of UCF, man?
I really do. And we talked about this in past weeks. I think when this season completes itself, we're gonna look back on the Nebraska game as the game that we needed to lose.
Yeah.
We needed to lose it. We needed to lose it in that fashion because I think it woke everybody up at the program that, hey, we need to truly play the game how we're supposed to play it. And
Yeah.
it can't be, just slinging the ball around. We can't go back to what we did last year. Like, we're a different team. We have different players. Let's make sure we play to our strengths. And 2 games now since that Nebraska game, and it's just been a meteoric
Yeah.
rise for how this team is playing. And like everybody has said out there, that is the most complete game in the Coach Prime era. That
Yep.
is probably the most complete game of CU football in decades, including the 2016 season. Like, full back-to-back domination on the road, 14-point underdogs. Besides the few people out there that are moving the goalposts on UCF after beating them from, their first comments of, you have no chance. And, oh, now we completely demolish them. And it's like, oh, they're just UCF. They're not great. They're not a good team. So in all honesty, like I do, I think this is going to be a program changer for Coach Prime, I think. And so I'm very excited. Dave, what was your thoughts on all of it as you were
Man.
watching unfold?
Again, we were both coming on here last week, very
Mhm.
nervous about this game
Yep.
because we hadn't seen our team yet uh, play that complete game against a Power 4 opponent, albeit as well on the road, man, on the road in a rowdy environment. Like, we just haven't seen that, and it was so great uh, to see this team really turn a corner. I feel like, and turn a page, take another step in this rebuild of this program, man. I mean, we both had the Buffs covering, of course, that
Mhm.
crazy spread, but yeah, was not expecting us to come out and truly make the bounce house our house, man. And
Man.
that's what we did. I think what I was most impressed with was the fashion in which they bounced back from early mistakes, their early disappointments with that
Yes.
Shador Sanders interception. It felt like right then in that moment, Nebraska all over again, didn't it?
No, 100%. I have flashbacks, 100% flashbacks to the Nebraska game because that drive went exactly like Nebraska. Let's throw
Right.
some screens. Let's get way behind the line of script. Like, can we never do that again? Can we never start a game with screen passes, please?
I know. And people want to say, well, it's about, they want to see what the defense is doing. I understand. I understand why you call those. Why do we always have to open up the first series with those plays? That's my question.
Run the ball. Run the ball. I'd be fine if we run it 3 times and go 3 and out on the first drive. Like, that's a little bit different than throwing behind the line of scrimmage and ending up with, 3rd and super long. Like, see if the run game's going to work today on the first drive. Like, I don't care, but the screens just kill me.
But what I feel so great about, I talked about it this past weekend, and I'm sure you feel similarly, Russ, is that and we talked about this a little bit last week. Like, this team is starting to develop a little bit of an identity, and
yes,
I think the team's identity is, coming from this defense. I mean, for them to respond after that first turnover, they got the ball already essentially in the red zone or like the 29-yard line. They're starting with it, but for them to come out and make some plays, stopping the run there on that first drive. Of course, they're able to advance the ball about 20, 25 yards, but you see Preston Hodge. I can't remember if that was a 3rd down on that interception. I think it might have been.
I think it was. Yeah, I think we stopped on the first 2, and then they had to go to the throw.
Yeah, what was going through your mind, man, when you saw that fade being thrown?
Oh, well, I immediately, tried to pay attention, obviously the camera pan a little bit to see if there's somebody wide open. And I noticed that Preston's right there. So moment he came down with it, I immediately was like, okay, this is, it was just like what Shador said after the game. Like, there we go. Start over. First drive doesn't matter. We're back to square one. Let's go from here. Let's act like that that first drive didn't happen. Let's make some changes. Let's be aggressive. Let's do what we need to do. And man, did they ever. They did exactly what they needed to do after that. And from there, we were rolling. The game didn't stop for us there. That was the moment that the game completely turned around, I think. And we got where we wanted to be.
Yeah. And I know, Russ, you got some team stats pulled up. I don't got them, man, but would love for you to talk through some of the things that really stuck out to you looking at our team's performance in this game.
Well, I mean, and the big thing is, and we've talked about this a couple times each week, and some of the fans have commented and people have said things, the way this defense is working compared to last year. Last year's defense just felt like an opportunistic defense. It was like, we're gonna hemorrhage bleeding, and every now and then we're gonna put some pressure on that bleeding to stop it by intercepting the ball or turning it over. That was it. We weren't stopping people on 3rd down. We weren't stopping people in the red zone. It was all about, can we get a turnover? We're just surviving until we get a turnover. Like, that was everything. And this year, I feel like we are that perfect bend but don't break defense, where it is just about stopping teams on 3rd down. Playing, just enough, stopping them just enough, holding them to that, far field goal range, which, by the way, field goal kickers against us are having an absolutely horrible time this season, by the way.
Yeah, I love it.
Opponent field goal percentage against Colorado, 33% right now, number 2 in the nation. Number 2 in the nation for field goals against. Now, let's be honest. Is that because of the defense? No. But it's just crazy stat that like kickers, for whatever reason, are not kicking field goals against us very well, and just missing a lot. So very interesting, but it's that bend, but do not break. Our 3rd down conversion percentage for opponents is at a 32% right now on the season, which gives us a ranking of 29th in the country. 29th in the country. Like, that's unbelievable. Also, guess what? Here we go. Opponent red zone scoring percentage. Dave, any thoughts? Where do you think we rank? I don't want you to throw out a percentage. Where do you think we rank
in FBS football?
Yep.
Okay. Give me 40.
We are the number 1 team in the country in red zone defense.
No way.
Opponents right now are sitting at a 50% conversion rate in the red zone.
Are you kidding me?
And that ranks us number 1 in the country. Like, talk about bend but don't break. You get to that red zone, you're in trouble, which makes sense. I mean, think about it. Think about it with the man coverage and things that we have issues with sometimes. You're going to have all of those unbelievable corners in zone and man inside the red zone, and then you just let the front line just pin their ears and push against the run. Like, it makes sense that we're so good with the skill that we have in the red zone. Like, that is a benefit of this team. So that is a massive thing that we have. You know, the rest of the stats, I mean, we're about 50 ranked in almost everything. We're sitting about 50th in the country, which consistent. So, you know, those are some things that are unbelievable. And then of course you look at our offense, like, you know, let's see, what's some good ones. Passing yards per game, we're 20th. Interception percentage thrown, we're only at a 1.2%. That's 24th. Our rushing obviously is not great. Our points
where do we rank in
game,
total defense? I'm sure that, I mean, because we give up a lot of yards, like you said.
Yeah, I don't think the one I'm looking at doesn't have total defense.
Okay.
It's just different percentages. But you know, opponent turnover margin game, we're at a negative 1.3. So that's 9th in the country for turnover margin takeaways. Yeah, it's just a lot better. We said that at the beginning of the season. We said this defense just needs to be better. They need to be just enough. And they're being more than just enough, yes. If I'm being honest. And that is complementary to the offense. And now the offense is getting going. I absolutely love it. You know, you've obviously done some breakdowns. You have the videos that came out today with the video reviews. Like, what are some of the things that you saw on the field that, you know, makes you feel really good about where this team is heading?
Okay. So when I was doing my instant reaction to the PFF grades yesterday, there was a really cool stat that stuck out to me. This is on the offense. So, you know, we had so much trouble against Nebraska with their creative rushes going up against our offensive line. And Baylor obviously gave us a ton of trouble too in pass protection. And, you know, I think that, you know, you were somebody that called this out. I believe there are other Buffs creators that also called this out about how just the route concepts against Baylor didn't always assist in getting the ball out early. It didn't assist if the pocket broke down and you just kind of need to, if Shedeur needs to move on the run and kind of get that ball out, you know. Well, I haven't looked at the all 22 yet for the offense. But what was really interesting was that there were 15 blitzes from UCF on our offense that led to 14 dropbacks for Shedeur. He completed 94% of his passes against the blitz for over 100 yards, and I think a touchdown might have been in there. So what that statistic tells me is that, of course, when they're looking at this game tape after Baylor that evening or, you know, that Sunday morning, they probably already realized, hey, there's some things that we can do differently to help ourselves against these blitzes, help Shedeur get the ball out early. We saw that there was, you know, more mesh, crossers, different things like that, I believe, that were being run over the middle of the field. Shedeur was just getting the ball out so much quicker, even when they were, you know, bringing heat. And again, 94% completion percentage against the blitz on, you know, 14 attempts. That's, you can't stop that.
No. Well, and so many other fans, opposing fans, I even see them now for K-State. They're just like, oh, we just need a blitz. We need to get back there and we need to get to Shedeur. And it's like, does anybody pay attention? Like, yes, Shedeur is one of the most hit quarterbacks in the country. Yes, he gets the most sacks against in the last 2 years. But he still puts up numbers while that happens because he is good against the blitz.
Yeah. And I think credit to Pat Shurmur, credit to Shedeur Sanders. Like, he was just so much more decisive with where he was going after the snap in this game, whether that had to do, and I'm sure like all these little things go into it, the game plan, the concepts being run. A lot of people like Carter, you know, are probably able to dissect that at a really nice level if they dive into it. But I just think, of course, the scoreboard also reflects this, is that we had a fantastic game plan going in. We had great balance, and we stuck with running the football, man. And that before we transition to the defense, man, I mean, let's talk about the rushing, man. 128 yards, 29 attempts, 4.4 yards a carry. And we had Augusta, 4 yards for 39, 9.8 average. Dallin Hayden, 11 for 33, 3.0 average. Not great, but with that nice touchdown run of 14 yards. Michael Welsh, 5 for 26, 5.2 average, and a touchdown. What did you think of this balanced offense, man?
Just enough. Just enough. That's all we need. That's all we need from the rushing attack. We are a pass-first offense, okay? Everybody needs to get that through your head. When you have Travis Hunter and Shedeur Sanders, you are stupid not to pass the ball a majority of the time. I don't care who you are. That's just the case, okay, people? So this whole notion that we need to be 50-50 or whatever to win games is just hogwash. The fact is that is exactly what the running game should look like, okay?
Yeah.
Running situations, we should be picking up first downs, okay? So short to gain, that should be a running play. It should be a first down. Goal line situations, we should be running the ball. We should be getting it in every single time. That tells me that the running game is effective. We don't need to live and breathe by a 60-yard touchdown run by a running back or our running back carrying the load, i.e. look at Oklahoma State right now. Ollie is not doing Ollie things, and Oklahoma State is struggling because that is their offense. Okay, our offense is Shedeur, Travis, the receivers. If the running backs can be complementary in that case and get 120, 150 yards per game, then that is what we want to see. That is what I call balance. I call balance, maybe 60-40, 70-30 at worst. But if we're gaining 4 or 5 yards a pop, then I think we're being successful with what we're wanting to see from the run game.
Oh yeah. And how could we forget the performance of the offensive line, man? I was really nervous after hearing Khalil Benson was going to be out.
Yep.
Because he had finished the game last week. So what do? I was excited to have Kareem Harden come in and kind of get his opportunity to show what he can do. And even though like the PFF grades didn't exactly pop off the chart with the offensive line, I mean, when you're watching that game, it was so impressive to see some of those blocks, made, including by Savell Smalls. But Phillip Houston, Tyler Brown had a nice little bounce back game, and it's just great to see these guys, I think, getting confidence and having a strong performance coming out after a tough game against Baylor. What'd you think about that?
I mean, 100%. Overall, I can't even begin to talk about everybody in this team. I mean, Jordan Seaton is getting absolutely everybody is talking about him this week because of that Pro Football grade, being the number one blocker on the team. True freshman. He's only getting better every week.
Yeah.
Come on. This kid is a true freshman. We've got him, David, for 3 years. We'll get to recruiting news later, but we are building the offensive line of a football fan's dream here. And it all starts with Jordan Seaton. And to have your true freshman balling out already, oh my goodness.
Freshman All-American, man. All-American.
It's going to be easy. He's going to be an easy choice for freshman All-American. If not for some of the playmakers out there, obviously, big ups to Ryan Williams this weekend. That kid absolutely balled out at 17. What these 17-year-olds are doing out there on Saturdays is absolutely ridiculous. But Jordan Seaton, deserves all of the praise, and the rest of the line did what they needed to do. I will be interested to see what happens going forward. Is Benson going to come back healthy? The question I think every fan is asking is what's going on with Tyler Johnson? Why is he not doing what he needs to do to play? If that's the problem, is there something else going on? What does that look like? We don't know. And we can't answer that because, we ended up with Kareem Harden and Phillip Houston starting on Saturday. And yes, I was like you. I was very concerned when all that happened, like right before the game. When we find out that Khalil Benson didn't travel, Trevor Woods didn't travel, Jeremiah Brown didn't travel. You got all these guys just not coming to the game. Who's the other one? Was a fourth person that didn't go with the team that was injured. I can't remember who it was. I might have been on the defense, but yeah. Trevor Woods. Yeah, we still don't know exactly what's going on with him. Jeremiah Brown, we know, is redshirting and staying. We have not heard from Trevor Woods, so I don't know if that's a transfer red shirt or not.
I bet he transfers. I think he should.
I would understand it if he did. Like, he needs to go somewhere he can, be the true anchor back there. There it is. Thank you. That one freaked me out. Like, Dayon Hayes not playing. Like, he's been one of the best edge players on our team. So all of that just set us up for, what I thought was going to be a very hard game to watch. But man, did that team come together. And I think that's the other thing we need to talk about, Dave. And you said this just a moment ago. I think this team is finding its identity. I think this team is finding who they are. And I think they're understanding and coming together and realizing a game like that is the bar now. That is the bar. And we need to meet it consistently, as Coach Prime would say. We need to play consistently at that level. If we do that, we are going to be successful against any team. And I absolutely believe that. Would you agree with that statement? I mean, right now, let's not look too far ahead in the future, but if Colorado comes out and plays their games like they did this past Saturday, sky's the limit.
I can't, I can't pick against them, man. I know that, there's a strange little bit of a tangent here. There's a strange little small pocket of Buffs fans that I feel like go in everybody's comments and they get upset, man. If they see people not projecting a win for the Buffs every single time. One, why do you guys care so much about predictions? Number one, but number two, man, it's very rare that teams go undefeated. But that being said, I need to give credit to somebody that was in here last week, man. Absolutely, saying that this was going to be the week that they put it all together, and you could see the relief, not the relief, rather, but just the moment on Prime's face, like afterwards, being like, finally. Yes, I know we've been capable of doing this, and now we finally have done it. 17 games into this thing, we saw us take a substantial step in the rebuild. Now the team knows. And they've experienced it.
And they know they can reach it.
Yes, they know they can reach it. So shout out to Kevin Riley and hey, he was so kind, man. He really did send me that big super sticker after the game. You're too kind, man. You are a saint. And as long as they come out and play consistently like that, I think they can go toe to toe with anybody, man. And that's what's so exciting about seeing them reach this kind of threshold, because I'm not minimizing this win at all, because we both came on here and said this is going to be their toughest road test out of conference play, no doubt about it. And for them to respond the way that they did compared to where they were, how they played in Lincoln, it just shows I've preached about it so much, but they finally have kind of overcome a crucial hurdle in this rebuild process where they were dominant on the road as big time dogs. To see them do it this early into conference play, I think is very, very encouraging.
It's been interesting this week. Besides the fans, I don't count most of them, and I don't mean Buffs fans. I mean other teams' fans who don't want to believe that the Buffs are this team. But it's interesting watching the media have come out and said, "Oh man, like this is how good this team can be.
Yeah,
if they do this, they are going to win the Big 12. They are going to compete for a championship." You've got Paul Feinbaum on ESPN saying, I don't know what to say, because I can't believe that Colorado is actually good. Yeah. And Coach Prime actually did coach a good game. So it's possible, which means that if it's possible, they can hit that multiple times. So seeing so many people now say, you know what? We saw the Big 12. We saw what's going on across the Big 12. As bad as this sounds, I don't think any of the teams in the Big 12 scare me. The only two teams that are consistent and that are playing really well are BYU and Iowa State. And guess what? We don't see them this year. So like, worst case scenario, we see them in the Big 12 championship and then let's see what happens. But
yeah.
So because of that, you look at all the teams, you look at K-State next week, you look at Oklahoma State. I mean, that team is not what anybody thought was going to happen.
That quarterback is what you thought, though.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. But everybody was like, Ollie will carry them. Yeah. They're shutting down Ollie because they realize that quarterback has nothing. Utah, Cam Rising not being in that game, not playing for them, makes them a one-dimensional team that's very easy to stop, just like everybody else. Texas Tech has had very poor showings. Kansas is one of the worst teams in the conference right now. Arizona is one of the worst teams in the conference right now. They're what Colorado people thought Colorado were gonna be, which is a two-person team with nothing else around them, which now we're realizing is not the case. And so right now, the sky's the limit. I think that really changes the way I'm going to look at games going forward. I mean, obviously, you and I, we were looking at this because it was the toughest game on the schedule, and we had yet to see Colorado put a game together. Now that we have, my predictions are going to be different because I know what this team can accomplish.
Yeah. It's so exciting to see this team put it together, man. And I think, again, in the fashion in which our defense played, I want to get back to that because as we prepare for Kansas State, this is an offense kind of similar to UCF that they're not built to come back from behind. They run the ball incredibly well. They have a lot of weapons. Of course, Dylan Edwards was here last year, but they got, a handful of weapons on offense. They have a quarterback that young, talented, a very good runner, a little inconsistent right now when it comes to passing, from the pocket. And we saw what happened against BYU. If they're able to, if they get down into a hole, that can create some problems. But seeing the discipline, Russ, I want to hear your thoughts on this as well. Seeing the discipline that our defensive front played with against all of that pre-snap motion, that chaos, like, The only big breakdown, because I know like KJ Jefferson had a couple long runs and like their running backs were able to get off, when you're running it 40 plus times, that's just going to happen sometimes.
It is.
But we didn't see any big communication breakdowns. They took advantage of the one time we had a Bentley on Harvey, which is not a good matchup, but we played such disciplined football, man. And it leaves me very encouraged going into these run-heavy offenses that we'll face here in the future.
Well, and the big difference between Kansas State and UCF is Kansas State, UCF was more of a power running team. They've got bigger guys. KJ Jefferson is a much bigger runner. He likes to go over you rather than around you. Kansas State has the more shiftier, speedier guys who are going to want to try and get outside. So discipline's going to be a really important aspect when we get to that game next week. But overall, it's like the great part about this, Dave, is the game plan is not going to change much week from week. No. The defense is going to be able to make adjustments, but just keep everything exactly the same as the season goes on, because I'm sorry, there is not a quarterback in this conference that scares me letting them throw the ball. There's not. And so what that means is our guys are going to get chances to eat. They're going to get chances to just play man on man. Some of the linebackers will play a little zone to maybe help with the quarterback run game, but it is going to be simple ball every week. Let's just take it and take it from you. Avery Johnson, he is not a good passer. I'm sorry. If he beats us with his arm, then, he just had one of the greatest games of his life. Because he just doesn't have it. And I'll say this, I've said this to a couple other people. A couple people got mad at me because they didn't think this was true, but I actually believe that Cam Miller from North Dakota State, when we played them, is a better quarterback than Avery Johnson is right now. Okay.
Yeah.
Cam Miller was a much better passer. He had the same kind of skill set as Avery Johnson, but he could throw the ball. If you look at Avery Johnson, if you get him moving and force him to throw, he misses the throw more than half the time. And I mean bad. So we're talking potential interceptions. We're talking Travis able to bait him on those zone plays that he keeps getting and just doing unbelievable things with. So yeah, the sky's the limit at this point. Like we're not going to be like, I hate the fact that we're the underdog next week. I think that's so stupid. We're at home. We're a 7.5 point underdog to K-State. Like, are you kidding me? After that game, you're going to say that? I mean, I get they're coming off a big win against Oklahoma State, but yeah, that's just not what it needs to be.
I love it. Hey, I'll keep picking this team to lose if that means we get performances like we got last weekend. You know, I love it, man. I love that we're underdogs at home. We should take that personally, and you know, this is a rivalry that we had going back to the old school Big 12, and I think that this is a perfect matchup to kind of revitalize that. Of course, we got Dylan on the other side. That hey, we're going to have to make him feel that transfer, so to speak, man. But what's so great on the defensive line right now, Russ, is, you know, we can go 2-3 deep at this edge position. Again, with Dan Hayes out, you're wondering, okay, how are these guys going to step up? We saw not only BJ Green play well, Samuel Okunlola played out of his mind. Arden Walker, in my opinion, had his best game of the year. We saw Taj McCoy kind of have his coming out party with a couple of sacks. Am I forgetting somebody? But either way, man, with the defensive line and Chidoze coming back, I mean, we're about at full strength. I think we will get Dayon back next week. And I was just so proud to see these guys not only playing disciplined football, but they were like the more physical guys on the line. And that was really cool to see with a team that rushes the ball so successfully.
Yeah. I mean, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sacks, like 5 sacks. We haven't had that in 2 years. Tajay McCoy, man, the redshirt sophomore, redshirt freshman. Is he red? He's a redshirt freshman. 2 sacks. Like, come on. That just continued. Yeah, Block Bully, I think, made a massive difference in that game. And I'm so happy we have him back. He absolutely dominated the middle of the line. Everyone's got to realize, if you don't already, that his position is not stat heavy. His job is to eat up blocks so that other guys have a chance to go in. And man, did he ever in that game. Like, he absolutely dominated their offensive line. And I'm excited to see him go against K-State, because I think he's going to be a difference maker in the middle of that line and allow our guys to really eat on the outside. So, there's just so many things we could talk about, so many good things that happened in that game. You know, I know we're going to go a little shorter tonight. So what about we talk about some really fun stuff in this bye week and go over some of the recruiting news that's been happening, because, oh baby, everybody, hold on to your hats, because it's happening. Which, by the way, everybody, all of these recent recruits and commits that are about to happen just goes to prove that Coach Prime's not going anywhere. Okay, Coach Prime's not going anywhere. These guys would not be flipping from established programs to come to Colorado unless they were coming to play for Coach Prime. Okay, that's just the way it is. Let's live in all of the other opposing fans' heads for. I can't wait till this offseason, Dave. I cannot wait, because I can't wait for everyone to be like, well, he's leaving. He's leaving next week. No, he's leaving next week. And the whole summer, we're just going to sit there and enjoy them crying as Colorado just continues to build a force. But, David, what do we got on the recruiting front?
Dude, Russ, great transition, man. You're getting me pumped up about this. We got another offensive tackle that has been crystal balled by Adam Munster-Tiger to flip Carday Smith, 4-star right tackle, currently committed to USC out of Mobile, Alabama. But fantastic. Came on an unofficial. Was it against Baylor? Yeah. Now coming on an official here on the 25th, and already with a crystal ball. And Adam doesn't put a lot of these out. Like, just
he does not put any out.
No, 90% in his career, which is fantastic. What did you make of this crystal ball?
I mean, we've been seeing it kind of coming. You know, it was kind of pushed for over the summer. Then it kind of cooled off. And then obviously I think, him coming to the Baylor game, everybody who was in attendance at the Baylor game, it sounds like, is a potential flip right now. And the thing I want everybody to look at, the thing I want everyone to pay attention to, okay, it's not the K-State game. The most important game of the season is going to be against Cincinnati, because that is going to be our big recruiting weekend. That is going to be the massive recruiting weekend that changes everything for the course of Colorado, because the other person I'm pretty sure will be there, because the rumor is it's either K-State or Cincy. But now with Cardi coming on the official Cincy, some of the other guys coming already that have been announced, my guess is that Julian Lewis will also be at the Cincy game.
Dude,
so we're going to build that list, and it's going to be similar to what UCF just had. We're going to probably get a couple of those 5-star receivers that were at UCF that are now interested in Colorado. We're probably going to get them to come out for that Cincy game, meet with Julian Lewis, meet with Jordan Seaton, meet with, everybody that's going to be in attendance, and say, hey, let's build something here. Let's change the course of the direction, and let's do it with Deion Sanders, Warren Sapp, Robert Livingston, Pat Shermer, all these guys that are NFL caliber coaches. Let's show them what, a coach like Coach Prime can actually do when given the keys to some Ferraris and some Porsches, and, really, really setting that up. So I think it's, like you said, he does not crystal ball players at all. Like I when I saw that, I was like, I didn't know he even did that for them. And so, like, this is a big deal. He would not do this unless he heard from somebody in the building, which, by the way, the other thing we should probably say is last night, all of the CU Buffs recruiting accounts were tweeting all sorts of crazy stuff last night. So to wake up this morning to have Baldwin decommit from Indiana, to have Cardi Smith and Baldwin both crystal balled to Colorado, that tells me that that's what happened last night. Was both of those guys got in communication with the team and said, hey, we're doing this. We're going to flip, and we want to come out for the Cincinnati game so that we can continue to recruit others and make that a really big weekend.
Man, I love it, man. Yeah. And remember, with Byron Baldwin, guys, if you need a reminder, he is a 4-star safety currently. Well, actually, he decommitted from Indiana today.
Yep.
Steve Wilfong put out a crystal ball for him a couple weeks ago, or like a week ago. And now Adam Munster-Tiger also came in today with a crystal ball for Byron Baldwin. So he dropped 2 today, which was just insane. Adam did. So I think that bodes very well for what we got going on. And I want to say too, and guys, I want to let you know, I'm highlighting some of these questions, so we'll get to it at the end. But I love the pipeline that, hey, we get Smith along with Jay Gardenhire and Chauncey Gooden. That's 3 really interesting, good offensive line prospects coming in here from high school. And maybe we might have a 0 to 60 guy, Matt McChesney guy. I can't remember if his name is Brett or Brent Coolajay.
It's
interior
Brett.
Offensive lineman. Yeah. From IMG. So he seems to be somebody that has very serious interest, mutual interest there as well. I think we're building that pipeline on the offensive line. I guess we'll see when this starts to happen with the defensive line, because I assume we're going to get some guys popping up here at some point.
I think we will, but I don't think defensive line is as important to Prime, because unfortunately, really young defensive linemen are not as effective right away as other
you don't
ones.
see Brandon Davis slaying out here. Yeah,
no, and that's okay, and I think he knows that too. Like, he's going to get his opportunities, but that's more of a developmental position. The other person too, you can't forget Jay Gardenhire, offensive tackle that we already have committed as well. That's a 3-star. I've heard some things about Jay Gardenhire, I guess. So listen to this, Dave. You'll probably like this. But part of the agreement to allow Jay Gardenhire to commit to Colorado was Coach Phil challenged him to get in shape, to lose some weight, to put on some muscle on his own. And he said, if you do this, we'll keep you on. We'll keep you going. We want you to come.
Wow.
Because he wasn't getting as many D1 offers and high profile offers like we gave him. And from everything I've heard reports wise, is he's done exactly that. So the kid is working his butt off to make sure that that offer stands. And I love to see something like that. So 100%, we've got some dogs coming next year. Mantrez Walker, I don't know if you've been seeing any of his high school stuff from this season. Huge shout out to Mantrez. He is dominating Georgia football as a linebacker. No joke. If that kid was a couple inches taller, he'd be a 5-star. He'd be a 5-star linebacker in this country. It's all the size that's hitting him down. We are building a nice little class that could, get up to 20 or so scholarships, I think, when this is all said and done, which is nearly double what Prime has been doing the last 2 years. So to all those people that said, one, Coach Prime can't recruit high school, and two, he's only going to ever do the portal. No, the reason we did the portal was because you don't waste having Shador Sanders and Travis Hunter here with developmental players. Yeah. You bring in guys that are going to be playmakers from day one and have an effect on this team. We don't have time to wait 3 years when they were on the team. Now, after this year, we do have time to build up this program and make it a competing Power 4 program going forward. And I think that's exactly what Coach Prime is doing with this recruiting class.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And as long as we continue to stack wins, man, I think you're gonna see that come to fruition, man. I think we have great momentum going right now, and this is the type of jump you want to see this team take in year 2. And yes, go ahead, Russ.
Well, I was gonna say, did you see the other offer today from a committed player? Colorado offered today. You're gonna love this one, Dave. You're gonna love this one. 5-star kicker Rhett Armstrong, who is committed to Baylor. Committed to Baylor.
Yeah.
Got offered today by the coaching staff.
Let's start poaching everybody, man. We need a kicker, man. Come in here. We need a kicker.
So we need a kicker bad.
Yeah.
So can you imagine a 5-star kicker?
Haven't had one of those since what's his face went to Utah. What was his name?
Decker?
Yeah, was it Decker?
Right? Was it Decker?
Yeah, I can't remember his name. He was here 2 years
ago. He's the starting kicker
for
Utah right now.
Yeah,
I know that. He's still there.
Yeah.
Hey, come walk in the footsteps of Mason Crosby. Like, let's have Mason come in this offseason, work with the kickers. One of the best to ever do it, both in college and NFL. So, like, Colorado has a kicking tradition that we need to uphold going forward as well. So unbelievable that, they did that. And hey, whenever a player who has been committed for a very long time gets an offer and posts about it, that's a big deal. Okay. That's not just, whatever's going. Yeah. Cole Becker. There it is. Becker.
Yeah. Cole Becker. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. You don't want to go to Waco, man. Boulder's way better than Waco, man. So I love to hear that. Russ, is it okay if we take a few minutes to answer like 3?
Yeah, let's do this. Let's end it out with that.
I had a few highlighted here. First one from Darren Jennings. Mayors didn't play against UCF. Do you believe the O-line is set? Russ, I want to hear your opinion first.
I mean, I'm not going to say no until we see the same line 2 weeks in a row. We talked about that. Can we get some consistency on the O-line? Oh no, we're just going to add in Kareem Harden now into the mix instead of putting Mayers in at guard. So I have no idea. Week to week, it seems like it's going to change. At this point, I'm not saying, I'm not going to believe that we're ever set in stone on the O-line. They have shown that they will change it, and I have a feeling they will change it again.
I feel the same. I think I would like, again, looking from the outside in, I would like to just keep the same unit that we had this past week. I thought that they gave their best performance of the season so far as the offensive line. And if that doesn't look good, then you make changes. But yeah, I don't believe that this offensive line is set in stone. But I do want to see what more of Seton, Tyler Brown, Hank Zelinskis, Kareem Harden, and Phillip Houston can do, because you want to know what else, Russ? You want to know what else? I believe, let me check on this really quick. I believe all 5 of those guys could return and play next year. No. No, maybe
Almost.
not.
Almost.
We'll see what happens. I think Tyler Brown will get an exception for a year to come back.
Oh, he already
I
has
don't
it.
know.
Yeah,
Okay.
he already got it
Philip
because of the
Houston.
ruling last year.
Philip Houston, maybe he has a COVID year. I'm not sure. We'll have to see. But we're gonna have continuity on that offensive line, whether we have to change out some pieces or not next year. But I'm very interested to see kind of what Philip Houston and Kareem Harden can do in a second straight game over there, and with Tyler Brown playing improved with this past week.
I think that's what people don't realize is that offensive line, there's going to be a lot of continuation. And kind of the rumors at the beginning of the season was, oh, they're going to be so good that they're going to go NFL. And so we're not going to have them. I heard that a lot about Tyler Brown. I said that he would be back. It's looking like that's probably going to happen. He is not at the level he needs to be to go NFL this year. So I think he comes back. I'm pretty sure Khalil Benson has a year. Mayers is the only one that I think is for sure without eligibility left, which sucks for him right now that his season has been so up and down. But we could return pretty much the whole offensive line. And I'd like to make one other comment because I know the one person on the line that everybody thinks is the worst is Hank Zelinskas. But here's the thing. One, his brother is balling out in his junior year. And it usually takes the third or fourth year for centers to really come on. So I think that's part of the reason why coach has said, stick with Hank at this point, because it's not all of a sudden drastically better with our other options. Let's just roll with him, get him better. And he's going to be an amazing center for us for years to come.
And if we do happen to be starting a younger quarterback next year, it's always nice to have a center that is experienced and can be relied on and trusted to call those protections correctly. And that's something that he could do.
Yeah, 100%.
Buddy, this wasn't exactly a question, but I wanted to talk about this. He said, I don't get why Omarion Miller isn't getting playing time. I'll go ahead and look up his snap count for this.
Please do that because I'm pretty sure it's higher than people think.
Yes,
I noticed him on the field a ton.
Yes.
The problem was he just wasn't getting the ball, guys. It's not a case of him not playing. He is just not getting the ball.
Yeah, let me pull this up. There was an instance, I don't know if you caught this, Russ, where Shador threw it to Omarion. And judging by the reaction from Shador, it looked as if Omarion ran the wrong route for whatever reason.
Oh, yeah, I do remember that one. Yep.
And so, like, I hate being the guy that's like, because just I hate talking about practice, right? He had 23 snaps, which was a season high. His snaps so far this year were 5, 1, 10, 16, and 23. So he was on the field more. But those kind of go to it, to support some of those comments about maybe not always being the best in practice. Shador's got to trust you, man, to run the right route when you're out there. And that was just one of those instances where I noticed it. So I think that I do love the fact that we're still getting him snaps, and I would still love to see him get more than 23 snaps against Kansas State. I would still love to see that. But I don't think that he's in like a doghouse or anything like that, especially when you see his snaps increasing. But that was one thing I did notice on his one target last week, or it might have been something where Shador might have, can't remember if he threw it or ended up throwing it away or something like that. And then he ended up kind of, he's going like this and all this, like right at Omarion. I forget exactly how the play went down.
Real quick, a little breaking news. Colorado offered another player now. Malik Clark, the top receiver that decommitted from Florida State yesterday.
I love picked that. Up How about a program that seems to just just have some terrible culture there right now, right?
Oh, I know, man. What are they ever gonna do? Like, ugh.
I mean, you got to imagine what is Bud Elliott saying about a program that truly has some bad culture, right?
Oh yeah, FSU's in trouble. Okay, what other questions we got? Since we got more.
This was a good question here coming from Just Flow. Can y'all address the effect 11 personnel has had on our run game and pass protection? Any thoughts on this, Russ?
I mean, I haven't paid too much attention to it. Obviously, it's going to help. I think, and it has helped. I mean, there's a reason we're doing better. I mean, I've noticed it more and more. So it's nice to see that. But Dave, what about you and your videotape study? How have you seen with that?
I've liked to see the emergence of Savell Smalls out here. So some people might say, well, why don't you just put an extra offensive lineman out there at that tight end eligible spot? But we have seen, Savell Smalls has kept the defense honest a couple times this year with some with some pass catches, and those things do help keep the defense honest when he's not just out there blocking 100% of the time. But he has been crucial out there, helping with kind of backside blocks on the run on runs to help open up big holes for running backs to hit. And I think that was a big difference this week in UCF versus Baylor, is that we saw some of those backside holes get opened up, and our running backs just kind of missed them a little bit more often in that Baylor game. I felt UCF, I just felt as if the vision was so much better collectively from our running backs, and he did well with that. And on the flip side, we were able to run play action with him on the field as well. And I'll be sure to do like a Savell Smalls breakdown, before the Kansas State game happens, since we got some more time. But I've called this out before. I'll call it out again, and hopefully we'll see some more moments of this when I dive into the tape. But Savell Smalls straight up blocked that right end on that play action pass to Travis Hunter, where he scored that first touchdown from Shador. So you allowed kind of your offensive lineman to focus on some other guys, the other 3-4 guys that they're rushing. And Savell Smalls can be relied on in some circumstances to block one-on-one with some of these guys coming off the edge. That is fantastic. And he's got enough speed to help support on the backside of these blocks and also get downfield. Really happy, as a 5-star guy coming in with huge expectations as an edge rusher. That didn't work out, but it's great to see him in a starting role, finding playing time for the first time, consistent playing time for the first time in his college career. And I think that he's been like an unsung type of hero. He's been a great story so far this year. A surprise for the Bucs.
Yeah, for 100%. I love it. And, it gives you a little hope for the future for what the tight end position could be for this team. And we've got some more tight ends going to be coming to this team in the near future with our recruits. So I'm happy to see, that adjustment from the team.
Yeah, no doubt. Oh, man, we just got a big old super chat come in here.
Eric
Boatwright coming in here with the 1999. Good Lord, thank you so much. You did not have to do that, but the generosity is always appreciated. He says, hey, fellas, 3 questions. First, what are our chances on a Big 12 chip? Russ, go ahead.
If I were to give it
this one by one.
If I was to give it a percentage right now, let's say 75%, 80%.
Russ
I said it earlier.
Man.
We now have seen our potential, and that potential, I believe, can beat any team in the Big 12. The question is, can we consistently hit that? So that's, I'm giving it a much better chance than I would have last week. Last week, I probably would have been at 30, 40% going into UCF. But what about you, Dave?
I'll give kind of 2 numbers. I'll give a 69%. Just because that number just sounds nice. It just sounds nice. But we're in control of our own destiny right now in the Big 12, man. We're 2-0. We've gotten better in both of those matchups. So coming in, I saw it as and I still kind of see ourselves as more dark horses right now. Now, if we knock off a win against Kansas State, man, that's great. But if this team comes out playing like how they played last week, which we finally seen them play, you got to feel good. I'll give kind of I don't know if this is satisfying, but I'll give ourselves a nice 50%. Yeah, a nice little 50%, man, that we could find ourselves in that title game. So I love it, man. I want to continue to see this team stacking wins, improving every week, but that's what good coaching does. You see this team, it has been improving every week, in my opinion, even through Nebraska. I'll give you credit, Russ, because you were able to find some silver linings where I was not, and we've been able to see this team get better each week in the phases. So absolutely love that. Great question, Eric. We'll move on to the second question. Who do you hope is the starting quarterback next year? This is a wonderful question.
It's a good bye week question, because I've been having these discussions with people. Some fans are like, why are you talking about recruiting and next year and the transfer portal? Because the answer is one of two things. Okay. It's either Julian Lewis, if that happens. Okay. That's the if. If it's not Julian Lewis, okay, if Julian Lewis does not end up in Colorado, it is 100% a portal quarterback. And it's going to be one of the top portal quarterbacks that will be available. Think about Cam Ward, Kyle McCord, Howard, Dylan Gabriel. Think of that this year. Colorado will be in the mix for whoever the top transfer quarterbacks are next year. As far as who that could be, TK makes a great point. Aaron Nolan could be a potential, because he's not going to stick around at Ohio State and wait on the bench when he should be playing. No. That one's a little tougher because he's not necessarily proven in games enough. So the other thing you guys can look at, go look at G5 schools that are successful right now. Tulane's quarterback having a great year. Boston College's quarterback having a great year. Those are teams that those guys may want to be in the limelight if they want to go to the NFL and if they think they're good enough to go to the NFL. And so coming to Colorado, you are going to be the center of the college football universe. So we are going to be a hot destination for quarterbacks who want to be in the spotlight. Yeah. So it could be any of those. We won't know until the season goes a little further. Jackson Arnold at Oklahoma.
Yeah,
it sounds like he may be, redshirting and portaling it after.
Gone, yeah.
So there's going to be a lot of options, and we're only seeing a little bit. The other kind of dark horse is what Flo just said. I was about to say, Kyron
That's
Drones,
a good one.
I don't think because here's the problem. A lot of people, I thought for sure he was the next quarterback. Then a lot of people were like, oh, he's going to be good enough to go to the NFL draft. He's not going to come back and play again. I don't think he's done enough this year. And I think the year has gone on too far for him to make a big enough difference to make the NFL this year. And so I think he's going to want to come back to college. He's going to want to play well. What better way than to go to Colorado, where select QB coach can coach him one-on-one, just like he did for Shedeur, where, he can be in the spotlight more. He can literally come and be in the shadow of Shedeur, which I think he would thrive in. So there's so many different options. Dave, is there any that you prefer over any of the other ones?
Well, man, you brought up that JMU quarterback before. That could be pretty interesting from the transfer portal. I think Aaron Noland is somebody that I'm very intrigued by, but again, we haven't seen him take a snap. I would love to see Julian Lewis here, still feeling very good about his commitment. But one thing, and you've kind of already alluded to this, Russ, right now we have a quarterback that's doing very well that has transferred up from FCS, from HBCUs. I think if they find a quarterback that has had 2-3 years of really great starting experience, you could see that quarterback transfer up to this level and have success. We've seen it time and time again. Cam Ward, don't forget, he started his collegiate career out here in San Antonio at Incarnate Word at the FCS level, and now you see where he's at. And I think that this is a staff that definitely will not leave any stone unturned at the quarterback position. And so it wouldn't surprise me to see a lower level guy come out here that, there's some steam and some hype behind. If I don't know who that is right now, I'm just so locked in right now on following CU, but I'm sure we'll hear some names as times go on. But I think if we're going to continue to build this thing, I'll never excuse or wave my hand away at veteran college experience coming in here, especially at the quarterback position. It's
the big question. Thing people need to realize with that too, real quick, is quarterback is the one position that has been a transfer haven for years. Look at all of the Heisman Trophy winners and how many of them are transfer quarterbacks. Very rarely do quarterbacks stay at a program for 3 years, be successful. You know, that it doesn't happen that often, except for the blue chip programs like your Georgias, your Bamas, your Ohio States, because they bring in like 5 blue chip quarterbacks and one of them carries the team for years while the other ones all leave and go elsewhere and succeed, i.e. Joe Burrow, i.e., you know, Cam Newton back in the day, leaving, you know, getting kicked out of Florida and going through his thing and getting to Auburn.
Jackson Dart started his career at USC. People forget that.
Yeah. I mean, it's unbelievable. And I get it, Antonio. DJ Lagway would be unbelievable. And Florida is absolutely in shambles. We'll see. That could be another one. There will be, the last thing, there will be surprises. There will be surprises.
Yeah. Oh, man, that gets me excited. I didn't even think about DJ Lagway. That could be a lot of fun, man. The possibilities right now are just endless. And yeah, if we find ourselves in a Big 12 championship, man, I feel like we're gonna have our pick of the litter when it comes to
we really are. We're gonna be the top dog when it comes to quarterback destination.
No doubt about it. Eric, these have been great questions so far. Again, thank you for the 1999 super chat. Third, off field, do y'all hear anything about players getting in trouble? No, and I'm not one that looks to like I don't consider myself a reporter or really anything like that. You know, I don't look for those types of things. I don't message football. I don't message the players. I don't message recruits. There are other guys in the Buffs community that will do that. I don't do any of those things. So if you hear, or if I'm talking about any information that I've heard, it's coming from people that have already reported it, or it's like from somebody that is in the know, like Gucci or Dalvin, Guru, you know, but he's not anybody that's dropping any sort of news like that. But at the end of the day, we've never had any arrests since Prime has been here. And I think that's a huge thing to give him praise for, that a lot of programs aren't able to do. Now, might we have had a speeding ticket? Maybe, but who cares? I just got a speeding ticket last weekend.
Like, who cares? What you get for being in Texas now?
Dude, I was going 88 and a 75. Are you kidding me? That basically is 75 in Texas. So yeah, nothing like welcome to Texas, where it's like, yeah, everybody's always clocking you for speeding down here, man. Yeah, that's just how it is.
Well, thank you, Eric, very, very much. Those are awesome questions. Thank you for the 1999. It is always much appreciated.
Definitely. Thank you again, Eric. Well, Russ, I appreciate you coming on here with me for the bye week. Gonna wrap things up. I need to get some dinner, man. I am quite hungry. But before we wrap things up, let me know and let the people know, where can they find you? Where can they find you?
Buffs News Weekly on YouTube. We are 10 subscribers away from 2,000. 10.
Incredible. Come on, guys. Links 10. In the descriration of
if you're here, go over, subscribe. If you're already watching this on my channel, subscribe, like the video while you're there. We're getting so darn close. So yeah, Sunday afternoons I do a deep dive into the game. That's been really popular. This past week we had about 1,500 people, which is why my subs jumped up so high, and we got almost 2,000 in the one weekend. So we absolutely love it. We appreciate you guys. Gennaro, seeing you in the chat, appreciate it always with the support for all of us. So Yeah, that's about it. I'm excited, and hey, it's bye week. Let's relax. Let's enjoy the week off. Let's enjoy victory week and being 2-0 in the Big 12. Let's, it's a great time to be a Buff fan.
Yeah, man. It's a great time to be a Buff fan, no doubt about it. Thanks again, guys, for tuning in. Be sure to smash that like and go help Russ get over 2,000 subscribers. Takes 1 second. Please go ahead and do it. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Again, thank you so much, Eric Boatwright, for your generosity. I'll be back tomorrow with some fun stuff. As always, Sco Buffs.